Noam Chomsky's The Fateful Triangle isn't your typical beach read. It's a dense, meticulously researched exploration of one of the modern world's most intractable conflicts. Chomsky dissects the tangled relationship between the United States, Israel, and the Palestinians. He argues that this relationship, instead of fostering peace, has tragically exacerbated the very problems it claims to solve. Chomsky, often called the world's leading public intellectual, brings his trademark incisiveness to this volatile subject. He meticulously documents historical events, analyzes power dynamics, and exposes uncomfortable truths often ignored by mainstream narratives. This book isn't about pointing fingers, it's about understanding how we got here and what we can do to create a more just and peaceful future. First published in 1983, the book has been updated several times to reflect evolving geopolitical realities. Each edition reinforces Chomsky's central argument that U.S. foreign policy driven by strategic interests rather than humanitarian concerns has consistently prioritized Israeli security over Palestinian rights. This imbalance, he argues, lies at the heart of the conflict's enduring and tragic nature. The Fateful Triangle is not an easy read. It challenges conventional wisdom, provokes critical thinking, and forces us to confront uncomfortable realities. It's a book that stays with you long after you finish the last page, urging you to look beyond simplistic explanations and grapple with the complexities of this enduring conflict. To understand the dynamics Chomsky dissects, we need to rewind the clock. The post-World War II era saw the birth of the State of Israel, a momentous event marked by both hope and displacement. For the Jewish people, it represented a return to their ancestral homeland after centuries of persecution. For Palestinians, it meant dispossession and the loss of their homes and land. The United States, emerging as a global superpower, quickly threw its weight behind the newly formed Israel. This support was rooted in a complex web of factors: shared democratic values, a desire to secure a strategic foothold in the Middle East, and the potent influence of the pro-Israel lobby in American politics. Over the decades, the U.S.-Israel alliance deepened, becoming a cornerstone of American foreign policy in the region. Military aid flowed freely, intelligence sharing reached unprecedented levels, and the U.S. consistently used its veto power at the United Nations to shield Israel from international criticism. This unwavering support, Chomsky argues, came at a price. It emboldened Israel's occupation of Palestinian territories captured in the 1967 war, hampered efforts to reach a negotiated settlement, and fueled resentment among Palestinians who felt abandoned by the very nation championing itself as a beacon of democracy and human rights. Chomsky argues that U.S. policy in the Middle East has always been guided by cold, hard strategic interests, often disguised under the veneer of moral rhetoric. He points to the region's vast oil reserves, crucial for the global economy and American energy security, as a key driver of this policy. The U.S., he argues, sought to maintain stability in the region not to protect the well-being of its people, but to ensure the uninterrupted flow of oil and secure lucrative arms deals with regional allies, including Israel. This pursuit of stability, however, often translated into propping up authoritarian regimes, suppressing dissent, and turning a blind eye to human rights abuses. Israel, with its powerful military and close ties to Washington, became America's indispensable partner in this endeavor. The U.S. saw Israel as a bulwark against Soviet influence during the Cold War, and later as a crucial ally in the War on Terror. This strategic alignment, Chomsky argues, blinded successive U.S. administrations to the plight of the Palestinians and the injustices they faced under Israeli occupation. At the heart of Chomsky's critique lies his deep empathy for the Palestinian people. He argues that their suffering, their history of displacement, and their struggle for self-determination have been systematically ignored by both the U.S. and Israel. He describes the plight of Palestinian refugees, displaced from their homes during the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, who continue to live in overcrowded camps, denied the right to return to their ancestral lands. He documents the expansion of Israeli settlements in the occupied West Bank, viewed as illegal under international law, which further restricts Palestinian freedom of movement and access to resources. Chomsky highlights the devastating impact of Israeli military operations in Gaza, which have resulted in high civilian casualties and widespread destruction. He argues that these actions, often justified as self-defense by Israel, are disproportionate and counterproductive, only serving to deepen Palestinian resentment and fuel the cycle of violence. Section 5. Manufacturing, consent, media bias, and the perpetuation of conflict. Chomsky doesn't let the media off the hook. He argues that mainstream media outlets, both in the United States and Israel, play a crucial role in shaping public opinion and perpetuating a narrative that favors the Israeli perspective while marginalizing Palestinian voices. He points to the use of loaded language, the framing of events, and the selective reporting of facts to illustrate his point. Chomsky argues that terms like terrorist are readily applied to Palestinians who resist occupation, while similar actions by Israelis are often justified as self-defense or met with silence. This media bias, Chomsky argues, creates a climate of fear and misunderstanding, making it difficult for the public to engage with the conflict in a nuanced and informed way. It reinforces stereotypes, dehumanizes the other, and creates a climate where violence and oppression are seen as inevitable rather than preventable tragedies. Section 6. Images of injustice, visualizing the Palestinian narrative. These images, carefully curated and presented, speak volumes about the human cost of this enduring conflict. They challenge us to look beyond statistics and headlines and confront the realities of occupation, displacement, and resistance. Each image tells a story of loss, resilience, and the yearning for justice. Section 7. Chomsky's enduring relevance, echoes in a time of unrest. The Fateful Triangle, though published decades ago, remains eerily relevant today. The issues Chomsky raises, the unchecked power of the military-industrial complex, the use of security threats to justify human rights abuses, and the media's complicity in shaping public opinion, resonate deeply in our current political climate. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict shows no signs of abating. Settlements continue to expand, Gaza remains under blockade, and peace talks have stalled. The two-state solution, once seen as the only viable path to peace, feels increasingly distant. Chomsky's work serves as a stark reminder that we cannot afford to be complacent. It compels us to question official narratives, challenge the status quo, and demand accountability from our leaders. His insights into the dynamics of power, propaganda, and the human cost of conflict remain as relevant and urgent as ever. Section 8. Beyond the headlines, seeking truth and understanding in the Middle East. The Fateful Triangle is not a call to despair, but a call to action. Chomsky urges us to move beyond the simplistic binaries of us versus them, good guys versus bad guys that often dominate discussions about the Middle East. He challenges us to engage with the conflict in all its complexity, to listen to the narratives of both sides, and to develop a nuanced understanding of the historical grievances and contemporary realities that fuel this seemingly intractable conflict. Chomsky reminds us that peace cannot be imposed by force, nor can it be achieved through one-sided solutions that prioritize the security of one group over the rights of another. Genuine peace, he argues, requires empathy, dialogue, and a willingness to challenge our own biases and assumptions. Section 9. A call to action towards a just and lasting peace. So, what can we do? Chomsky's work is not about offering easy answers, but about prompting critical engagement and action. He encourages us to educate ourselves, go beyond the headlines and seek out diverse perspectives on the conflict. Read Palestinian authors, journalists, and activists. Watch documentaries, listen to podcasts, and engage in respectful dialogue with people who hold different views. Support human rights, hold all parties accountable for human rights abuses, advocate for an end to the occupation, the expansion of settlements, and the blockade of Gaza. Support organizations working to provide humanitarian aid and legal assistance to those affected by the conflict. Demand accountability. Hold our elected officials accountable for their policies in the region. Urge them to pursue a foreign policy based on diplomacy, human rights, and international law, rather than narrow strategic interests. Amplify. Marginalized voices. Support Palestinian artists, activists, and journalists who are working to challenge stereotypes and share their stories with the world. Use social media and other platforms to amplify their voices and raise awareness about the realities of the conflict. The road to peace in the Middle East is long and arduous, but the Fateful Triangle reminds us that it is a journey worth taking. By understanding the historical roots of the conflict, challenging our own biases, and demanding justice and accountability, we can help create a future where Israelis and Palestinians can finally live together in peace and security.